Why would anyone choose black and white over color in photography? No golden sunsets, no green lush woodlands, just shades of grey. Well, I do. I primarily shoot black and white, and today I would like to tell you why. First, I do think it's quite important that you know a bit about my backstory with photography. I got my first taste of photography back in 2005. I was still in school and was roughly the equivalent to second upper or high school, and I did a class in photography. Back then digital cameras were very much a thing. I do remember my father got his first digital camera at around that time, mostly for vacation snaps and family photos. And digital was primarily used by people for these kind of images due to the convenience. As well, it was quite popular in the commercial world. However, for the art side of photography, black and white film still reigned supreme. And that class I took for a semester in 2005 was all done on black and white film. We learned to develop that film and we learned a bit of the darkroom printing. And I still can remember how the image appeared in the tray under the red light. Just pure magic. And I thoroughly enjoyed that class. However, it didn't stick around as a hobby or a career path for me. Instead, I went off to, engineering school as a good boy. It wasn't until about 10 years later that I kind of rediscovered photography. By then it was all digital, and I bought myself a digital camera. And I started doing photography as a hobby. And of course, I shot in color like most people do. The only time I went with black and white was if an image didn't quite work out. I try and convert it into monochrome, thinking maybe it looks a bit more dramatic that way. But then a couple of years before the pandemic, I bought myself a film camera. I still heavily lean towards color photography, but I also started to photograph in black and white again. Not as an afterthought, but as an intentional choice. Then, one Sunday morning, I woke up really early to go out and photograph in a national park about an hour and a half from where I lived. It was this perfect morning, misty fields, soft sunlight, the kind of morning you dream of, like a photographer. And I shot it on color film. Then I got home, I developed the film, as I do, and this time around, I got blanks. Nothing at all. I do suspect I had cross-contaminated my chemicals, because a single drop of Blix in C41 developer will kill it. And that happened to me not once, but twice. And by the second time I said to myself, you know what? No more color film. Instead, I switched over to only shoot in black and white with my film cameras, thinking that I will continue doing color photography with my digital cameras instead. But I was bitten by the film bug, and it took over more and more, and I also started to shoot more and more black and white. And you know what? It turned out to be the best thing to happen to my photography, because I realized I enjoyed it more. Monochrome images just feel more interesting, more expressive, more intentional. And I do think it stems back to that my first experience back in 2005. That early impression that art is done on black and white, at least when it comes to photography. It's a bit more artistic, a bit more soulful, and all the other cliches, but I do think there's something to that. And I've also come to realize that I like it because black and white adds another layer of abstraction. All photography in a sense is an abstraction because it's a 2D rendition of a 3D world. But by also removing the colors, you're adding another layer of abstraction. You are no longer photographing the literal world, you are interpreting it. And I find that really fascinating. And that's also the reason why the only color photography I've done in the last couple of years has been infrared photography. Kind of that pinkish tree look, or the aerochrome look if you like. I did kind of this street photography series of quite big common scenes, but then that added layer of abstraction with the pinkish trees, creating this otherworldly feel to an ordinary scene, and I thought that was quite interesting to explore. I also think that black and white photography has made me a better photographer in general, because it forces me to focus in on the fundamentals of photography, stuff like composition, light, contrast, subject, etc. I can't hide a bad image behind pretty colors anymore. I'm not saying that the color photography is any easier than black and white, But what I am saying is that the colors can be seductive. A pretty sunset will look nice, but can sometimes feel a bit empty. And this is a good thing when you realize this. It pushes you to think differently, to see differently. And when I'm out shooting black and white, I'm looking for light instead of color. I've started to notice how shadows fall, how textures interact, how highlights can carve out depth in a scene. I also find black and white photography to be quite liberating, especially as a landscape photographer. I no longer chase sunsets or vivid autumnal colors. Now I can go out even in the harshest of midday lighting and make something interesting. I'm not waiting for those perfect conditions anymore. I'm just shooting whenever I feel like it, and it has opened up new creative possibilities for me. There's also one more reason why I prefer black and white over color, and this is film specific, and it is regarding the print. If I look at the print of one of my digital images, even though it's made on high quality paper and professionally printed, I don't rate it as highly as my darkroom prints. Because to me, a darkroom print is just a bit more of a craft, and best done from black and white negatives, where you kind of are a bit more in control of each step, from choosing the developer to how you print the image, and finishing off the print with the toning, bleaching and staining. Each of the steps are very subtle, but they all contribute to that final print. And it can take days, weeks or even years before you reach that final print. A high quality darkroom print is simply something else, at least to me. And it kind of also completes that analog workflow for me. So there you go, that's why I prefer black and white over color in my photography. It's not that the color photography isn't beautiful, it certainly can be, but to me, black and white just has a bit more depth to it. What about you? What do you think about black and white? Do you find it as freeing as I do? Let me know below in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. With that said, thank you so much for watching, I'll see you next time. Take care and bye.